Good afternoon, participants. Welcome to the live webcast on the topic social and rural engagements of the higher educational institutions. The Sitara experience is the topic, which will be delivered by Professor Anand Birao. I'll request the convener of the group, CA Pankaj Sasa, to kindly give his opening address.
Very good evening to one and all. We at the Group on Development of Rural Economy under the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India today have a different topic for which we have a very eminent faculty, Professor Anand B. Rao, sir, who is at IIT Bombay. And the topic for today is social and rural engagement of the higher educational institutes, the CTARA experience. Here, CTARA represents Center for Technology Alternative for Rural Areas. Dr. Rao is a doctorate PhD from Carnegie Mellon University, MTech from IIT Bombay, BTech from IIT Bombay. So we have such a eminent faculty before us. So without wasting much time, I welcome you all in this session on a topic on social and rural engagement. And I am confident that this would be really a meaningful interaction with all. Thank you and welcome.
Over to you, Professor Anand, for taking the session forward.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. Namaskar. Am I audible and are my slides visible?
Yeah.
Yes, very much. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, first of all, I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to deliver this webinar. And through that, I wanted to reach out to all of you, tell you about our experience in this small center called Sitara in IIT Bombay and what we are doing and what we are trying to do. So, welcome all of you to this webinar. So, as I said, first of all, my heartiest acknowledgements and thanks to Dr. Nikhil Saket for being in touch with me and persuading me to give this webinar, and Pankaj Shah sir and Hansraj sir and the whole organizing team for organizing such a webinar. And of course, all my colleagues, collaborators, and mentors who have shaped me. And then today I'm in whatever position I am. So I'm sharing all my experience working with this center with the blessings of all of them. And finally, all of you in the audience. So just to a small anecdote, I have a great respect for all of you who are chartered accountants, given the huge dedication and passion that is required to clear these exams. My own elder sister is a chartered accountant, so I have seen it from close quarters what this whole examination pressure is and how dedicated all of you are in your own respective fields. So thank you really for having me here, one amongst you. So just to give you a small glimpse of what I'm going to talk about, there are three things I'll break my webinar in. First of all, I'll give an introduction to this center called Sitara. I'll also kind of briefly take you through the journey of Sitara, which will also kind of elaborate on various experiences that we have. And finally, I'll touch upon this theme of social and rural engagement. So to begin with, I would like to quote these two people whose photographs are up there. One is a well-known economist. I think some of you or all of you might have heard about him, E.F. Schumacher. And he has this interesting and very pioneering book called Small is Beautiful, a study of economics as if people mattered. And he brought in this human dimension to technology. And so a lot of credit to the appropriate technology movement goes to the pioneering thinking that he condensed in this book. And then Professor A.W. Date, Anil Date, who was a professor in mechanical engineering at IIT Bombay, who was the founding head of Sitara, who initiated this activity in the field of rural technology in IIT Bombay. And he has a very interesting paper titled very much rhyming like Schumacher's preface. So it is technology design as if development method. So basically, when we are talking about technology, we have to think about people and people's development. And ultimately, the objective of technology development is to have societal development. So that is something that he brought to the forefront of Sitara. So, with that, I'll just begin the first part where I'll try to introduce Sitara to all of you. Uh, if you have not been to Mumbai or IIT Bombay campus, this is a snapshot view of IIT Bombay campus. Lush green oasis within the city of Mumbai. We are located within between two lakes, Powai Lake and Vihar Lake. And this is a kind of an aerial view of the campus. Now it is growing vertically. Various towers are being built because we want to conserve the greenery on campus. But otherwise, when I joined there as a student, we never had such kind of a tall buildings on campus. So IIT Bombay, of course, got established back in 1958. The center Sitara came up only in 1985. So we have just finished 40 years of existence in IIT Bombay. And even more recently, we have started our academic program. Earlier years, we were only a research center. But since 2007, we have started our academic programs, both masters and PhD, in this campus. I joined IIT Bombay as a faculty in 2006, and the primary reason I joined was that Sitara wanted to float these interdisciplinary masters and PhD programs. So, just to give you a brief basic orientation to Sitara. So, as the name it's a very unique name. It is Center for Technology Alternatives for Rural Areas. So we are not only technology center, we are always thinking about alternatives. So because there is never one single solution to every problem, we can have alternative views. And that is what we need to appreciate as well, that there is always room for better alternatives. So whatever is the current norm, whatever is the current mode of operation, there can be some other considerations that can be brought into picture, and then we may have some alternative solutions also. And then, especially in case of rural areas, we have to think about alternatives, because whatever is the mainstream technology alternatives, or sorry, technology applications that may be there in urban setting, the same may not be relevant for rural areas. So, especially in case of rural areas, we may have to think about what may be more appropriate in that rural context. So, thinking about alternatives is very, very important when we talk about rural areas. And that was the kind of a basic theme when this center was set up. It is a small but independent academic center within IIT Bombay system. When I say small, because we are currently about 9 faculty members in this center, full-time 9 faculty members, whereas IIT Bombay has about 750 faculty members. So that gives you the kind of a sense of scale, that how small we are within the IIT system. But we are independent. That means we run our own master's and PhD program on our own. The overall mandate for the center has been to look at unorganized sectors and marginalized communities. And I'll elaborate on that as we go along. And then the overall theme of work is to work on the interface of what we call as technology and development. So these are the two areas, and we are trying to work on the interface of the two. And the MTech and PhD program has started since 2007. And even more recently, we have started a new master's program called MDP, which I'll talk about later. IIT Bombay also has been anchored to various national level activities like RUTAG and UBA. So the vision and mission, if you look at this center, so it is basically to learn from and put our knowledge, expertise, and skills for the benefit of the bottom 80%. So now we are all conversant about this term bottom 80% of the society, which are actually at the fringe of most of the benefits of technology. And what we are trying to do is both trying to learn from this section of the society, because they have a lot of tacit knowledge, and also put our knowledge, skills, and expertise for the benefit specifically for this part of the society. So this is the overall vision of this center. And so with that objective, this center was set up in 1985. So if you look at agriculture, agro-based industries, or many other uh, unorganized activities and sectors within society. So these are the kind of people who are mostly marginalized and disadvantaged, and where there is some role that technology can play for the overall upliftment of these sections of the society. So that is where we feel that Sitara can play a seminal role. So the core areas we are looking at, and what we typically work within the faculty group, are focused on energy, water and sanitation, agriculture, food and nutrition, infrastructure, health, and so on and so forth. And the research work that is undertaken is typically demand driven and need based. So rather than developing something in the lab and then trying to locate or identify who can be the potential beneficiaries or users of our work, we first try to understand what people need or what are pain points in the society, and then try to formulate our research questions based on that. So this is a somewhat a different approach than most of what the mainstream or conventional departments or academic centers do in the IIT system. And other thing that we always emphasize on is the direct engagement with the stakeholders. So we cannot work in isolation. So it is not technology development for people, but typically it should be the solution development with people. So we have to have the stakeholders on board, and then only it will probably ensure that whatever is being developed as a technical solution will be adopted, used, and disseminated within the society. In this whole effort, we also try to involve the local institutions so that we ensure some kind of a sustainability and continuation of the interventions that we are looking at. But although, as I said, we are a small center, so we have very minimal footprint on campus. And over the years, my colleagues have developed different lab facilities of various types. We have a workshop and different types of laboratories looking at food processing, some environmental analysis and bioprocessing, etc. So, as I said, we are 9 full-time faculty members here in Sitara right now, but we are also affiliated with various other colleagues in other academic departments and centers, as well as we have some part-time adjunct faculty members as well. So, within this small group, we try to touch upon various aspects of where we see the interface of technology and development. So, it may be all these different areas, including water, energy, health, food, agriculture, and so on and so forth. So at the moment, we have about 100 odd masters and PhD students together. So that is the kind of again, small footprint that we have on campus. So these are, just to give an idea, these are the various themes that myself and my colleagues are working on. And these are various initiatives and research groups that Sitara hosts. So we have a Rural Technology Action Group, which is the project funded by the PSA's office in Delhi. So we are one of the few IITs which are having this particular initiative. We are also kind of a nodal agency for Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, which is a flagship program of Ministry of Education, where we are both the regional coordinating institute for the Western region, Western Maharashtra, and Konkan and Goa and Dadra Nagar Haveli. We are also a subject expert group under the UBA, looking at the ethos in higher technical educations and how we can try to synergize the connection between rural concern and our curricula. So how we can bring these together. So this is the kind of a focus theme of this SEG. We also host Unnat Maharashtra Abhiyan, which is under the directive of Government of Maharashtra, and also alumni-funded initiative called Prayog, which is a kind of a platform to bring various stakeholders in the development process together, the funding agencies, the government initiatives or government departments, researchers having solutions, and then the common man having a problem. So all of them can be brought together in this common platform called Prayog. And then depending on every faculty member's initiatives or expertise, we have a variety of labs and research groups as listed here, which is a wide range of topics, as you see, are covered in this particular domain. And over the years, we have built a large network of collaborators with whom we have various types of initiatives, either the funded projects, we have collaborative projects with various universities across the world and various government departments as well as multilateral agencies like UNICEF. We have been collaborating with for a variety of projects. So this is just a glimpse of the journey of Sitara at IIT Bombay. So back in uh, 70s, it started or it was rooted mainly in the form of an appropriate technology unit. So the term appropriate technology was quite popular in 70s, again, thanks to Schumacher. And then this was the time when people started thinking about externalities of technology and what kind of solutions can be found looking at the rescaling of technology and try to minimize the environmental impacts of technology. So this was the kind of a root of Sitara. So Sitara officially was formed in 1985, and then initial years we were only a research center. We had kind of a KVIC funded project through which some basic lab infrastructure was created. And in 2007, we started our academic programs, as I mentioned earlier. We are often having some international collaborators and visitors also coming and spending time with us, either as exchange students or researchers, fellows coming from various parts of the world as well. So, just to elaborate on the genesis of Sitara, so you may recall in 1972 there was a major drought in Maharashtra. And as a follow-up of that, there was some group of faculty members who were involved in kind of a sensitization, and some response emerged from the IIT Bombay community in terms of how we can contribute to this cause to bring some relief to those who have been kind of suffering from this drought, and mainly that was the rural and farming community in Maharashtra. So 1974, as I mentioned, the appropriate technology unit was formally formed, which started initiating some student projects, and some reports about some ground situations came through this particular initiative. And then in 1983, when IIT Bombay was celebrating its silver jubilee, one of the themes by UNESCO team panel that was visiting IIT Bombay, they suggested that rural technology can be taken up as a focus area by the institute at this juncture. And then, as a follow-up of that, in 1985, the Board of Governors approved a proposal to form Sitara. So these, Professor Kelkar, Professor Day, and Professor Nag, they were the initial directors of IIT Bombay who have kind of helped in this genesis of Sitara in certain sense. And then once in 1985, Sitara was founded, Professor Date, Anil Date, as I mentioned, who was the founding head of Sitara. And it shaped up because of his vision and his practice, both that were very, very pertinent. He himself was an expert in the thermal engineering, and he's a renowned person in that field in mechanical engineering. And then later on, many other faculty members across various departments and centers mentored Sitara. With more recently, especially after I joined, Professor Milind Sohni from Computer Science and Engineering, he had his own set of ideas in terms of how academia can contribute to social development, and then especially the role of higher institutes, how the students and faculty can contribute to the development process. So he has been experimenting with variety of things, both within curricula as well as outside curricula, how students and faculty can contribute to social cause, but as professionals and not as a social service. So that has been kind of a very, very important emphasis that he brought that culture to Sitara. Then Professor Rangan Banerjee, who is currently the director of IIT Delhi, he was the head of Sitara for a year, and he brought a lot of emphasis on formal processes and more professionalism within the Sitara community. And later, Professor Satish Agnihotri, who was a retired bureaucrat who joined IIT Bombay as a full-time professor, and then he brought in a lot of his experience and network with various government agencies, which helped us to grow substantially with various fellowship. And then his area of passion was nutrition, and that brought a lot of new activities in that domain as well to Sitara. And then, so right from Professor Sukhatme to Professor Mishra to Professor Devang Khakkar, then Subhashish and the current director, Professor Kedare, who has ties with Sitara. So they have been the directors who have been leading and mentoring Sitara. So just to so while on one hand we are looking at this kind of a progression in Sitara in terms of stabilization and some basic infrastructure that was built for Sitara, the labs, etc. In terms of the philosophical foundation, so there have been various ideas as well as people who influenced what we do in Sitara. And I'll just mention a couple of these important personalities and references here. One is I already mentioned about Small is Beautiful by E.F. Schumacher. That has been one of the important kind of a book and kind of a thought process that shaped Sitara and the way we look at technology. The other one was this important research named as Limits to Growth, the kind of a paper that brought attention to the kind of limited resources that we have on the globe, and then how this systematic exploration of man-made limits to survival. So this was something that has been kind of a debatable question that has been being pondered in terms of what is sustainable development, and then the way we are growing, the way we are developing our society, is it sustainable at all? Do we have enough resources to cater to the kind of a demands and greeds of the all the growing population? So these are the things that started getting debated once we had this approach that was being brought by this group Meadows et al. And then we started thinking about whether we really have enough for everybody on the earth, and how we can optimize the resources that we have on the earth without harming the future generations and their rights over the resources. So this whole process of thinking about sustainability and sustainable development, I think it is more than 50 years old. And then we have to appreciate the roots of this thinking in these kind of studies that were undertaken, and a lot of modeling studies about system dynamics that emerged out of this work. And more recent, I mean, after that, and then closer to home, Professor Amulya Reddy from IISc Bangalore. So he was one of the persons who also initiated a lot of academic thing. I mean, in academia, he started this whole discourse about development paradigm and what are the implications of the kind of model of development that we are going to follow, and its impact on the society as well as on environment, and how we need to cope up with these various externalities. So these were some of the foundations, some of these ideas that influence what we do in Sitara. So if I have to just kind of give you what are the distinguishing features of Sitara with respect to the rest of the IIT system, I would like to summarize in this following manner. So the kind of niche that we have within IIT Bombay is the kind of interdisciplinary nature or approach that we kind of follow, and the interaction with various kind of stakeholders, and mainly the grassroots organizations, the NGOs, the self-help groups, the Panchayati Raj institutions. So that has been a very, very distinguishing feature of Sitara as compared to any other mainstream department or academic center. And as Professor Date used to always say, our concern is basically celebrating development through technology. So technology should be looked at only as a means and not as a goal. So although we are in the Institute of Technology, so technology should not be given complete kind of importance. So we have to understand both the limitations of the technology as well as the externalities of technology. And then the ultimate objective is development and not just to propagate technology. So that is what we have to keep in mind, and that is what we follow in Sitara. And then the focus, as I mentioned, has been always on bottom 80% and the commons. And we always worry about the externalities of what we do as well. And so the end-use defined and demand-driven research is also an important consideration. And that's why our approach has been on experiential learning. So within, again, IIT system, our students are the ones who go to the field a lot. I mean, we encourage them to do a lot of field work to get as much of experiential learning, spending time with people and experts. So this is something that is encouraged within Sitara. So I just take a pause to explain, before I explain what we do in terms of the academic training within Sitara. So if we just pause and look at India today and the kind of context that we are having, so the current paradigm of development is basically supported by three pillars. One is industrialization, the other is urbanization, and the third is consumption, which is the mantra of growth for the modern society. And whatever we see today in the name of development is basically fueling these three phenomena. So we are having more and more industries, we are urbanizing at a very fast pace, and all of it is actually fueling more and more consumption of various commodities that we never heard of maybe a generation ago. All of it actually is actually leading to a phenomena which is unidirectional flow of resources. So, and now today it is becoming fashionable that we talk about circular economy, and then we have started talking about greening of finances and so on and so forth. But for the last several decades, we have been following this kind of a model where uh, we are seeing a paradigm of rapid economic growth. However, what it has led to is very, very increasing disparity between two societies within India, what we call India versus Bharat. The India that stays in metros and urban areas, and Bharat which lives in villages. So whenever we visit, and we visit very often to rural areas, and we often find these kind of pictures where the villages are dying, most of the youngsters have migrated to the nearby urban areas, and only the old people living there to die, or maybe young children sometimes with their mothers are left back home. However, the cities are overburdened, and every day we are getting loads of people coming to cities in search of life. Mumbai is a classic example. Every day, so many train loads of people reach this city from various parts of the country, just in the hope of finding livelihood opportunities in this particular location. And this is happening year after year. And what we see is this huge disparity that is growing. On one hand, we are shining, we are growing, we are aspiring to become number three economy in the world. But the level of inequality that is also growing very rapidly. And now we have to pause and think, in this backdrop, what is the relevance of higher education and research that we are doing in universities and academia? So that is what we believe, that universities have to play a major role in terms of filling these gaps and trying to see how the whatever research happens helps the common man or the bottom 80% society. Then only we can try to have some equilibrium in the society. And especially coming from a technical institute, and we are the Institute of Eminence, IITs are known for their technical expertise. But then we have to think about how to look at technology, whether technology is a part of solution, or maybe we have to also consider the possibility that technology may be a part of the problem as well. And this is something that requires a lot of critical thinking and appreciation for the externalities of technology. And that is what we think that is required at this stage, that we have to think about where we are going and why we are going and why we are pursuing certain technology kind of a deployment in certain areas. So we have to be fully sure whether it is going to help us in long run and majority of our society. Then only we should pursue those things. So this is the kind of approach Sitara does. This is not something very commonly appreciated in the mainstream engineering and technology institutes. So that's why Sitara is a somewhat different from what other departments and academic centers within IT system are. Now, in this backdrop, as I said, we started feeling that there is a need for people or professionals who are trained to work on the interface of technology and development. Those who understand technology and those who understand the process of development as well. Typically, what happens, the people working in the domain of technology, all the technocrats, they are familiar with the technology, but they don't have adequate understanding of the ground reality and what are the problems on the ground and what is the development requirement. They are not aware of that. And those who are working in the development sector, maybe these are the development professionals like the social workers or maybe the Panchayati Raj institutes, the elected representatives from various villages and various units. They either they are in awe of technology, they feel that technology will solve all the problems, or they have no idea about such a technology solution exists. So they're completely unaware of the power as well as limitations of the technology. So these are the kind of two communities that need to shake hands. So those who are working in the domain of technology and those who are working in the domain of development, they are kind of segregated, and we find that there is a urgent need to train professionals who can work on this interface of technology and development, and they can talk to both these communities and try to bridge the gap between these two. And that became the kind of a mission of Sitara. And then we said that we want to follow this paradigm of technology and development. We give a lot of importance and emphasis to that connector and which tries to connect technology with development. So that's why we said that we want to promote interdisciplinarity. We want to focus on these underprivileged and marginalized sections and see how technology can help in terms of improving their situation. And that's why we need to train students and professionals who can work on this interface of technology and development. That became the kind of specialization that we're offering in IIT Bombay is actually called MTech in Technology and Development. That itself is the name of the specialization. So, as Professor Soni used to nicely say it, I'm just borrowing it from one of his presentations. So today, when we are opening so many new engineering colleges and we are training so many students to become engineers, so that is one of the very common dream. So many times, whenever the students are doing well in school, typical options they think of in terms of the career is either becoming a doctor or engineer. I'm sorry, I know I'm talking to chartered accountants or financial experts, but typically that is not portrayed as one of the kind of a career pathways. Very rarely, if they have seen somebody in their family, then they know that such a illustrious career pathway can also exist where they can work in finance and accounting. But otherwise, most of the times, engineering is considered as very favorite kind of a academic career option. But we are not thinking about for all these new engineers that we are producing on mass scale, where will the jobs come from? And on the other hand, we are seeing that some basic amenities and services also in urban areas which are well endowed, there are also huge deficits in terms of having appropriate or proper services, right from water supply to sanitation to transportation to road and telecommunication and so on and so forth. So how will we fix all these services? So in spite of having such large number of trained engineers, we are having this kind of a deficit in the service. And then we have large number of small enterprises, but there are nobody interested in optimizing these processes or improving the efficiency of these processes or reducing the cost of these. So we are using so many products coming out of this MSME sector, but nobody is looking at them with more academic kind of an interest. So on this backdrop, as Professor Soni used to emphasize, though, the university should adopt a kind of an important role in terms of becoming the regional resource for people where various such societal problems can be analyzed, and it should become like a site for regional research and new professions. So new professions can emerge out of the training that universities can provide. So what we need is, rather than just the age-old degree programs that we have, we should think about new curricula, new research programs, and new engagements with various stakeholders in the society. So typically what we see is that people, they support universities by paying fees and so on and so forth. University trains people, which becomes employees for various industries or government, and then they are supposed to serve the society or people. So this is a kind of a loop in the conventional manner. But we have to think about some alternatives, pathways in these kind of engagements also, where the university can play a major role directly engaging with people and people's representatives so that many problems of society can be assessed and worked on in the university setting as well. So, this new role called development professional, we can think of where the development professional should be trained on variety of aspects related to technology, related to policy, as well as related to the social science, and trying to understand and deal with the stakeholders, trying to understand the problem from the field itself. So ideally, the development professional should be trained in all these different domains, including the applied engineering sciences or technology, applied social science, including the policy, and then should have the field orientation where they have to imbibe the specific perspectives, skills, and domain knowledge and applying it on the field. So, this is all expected, and try to bring in all these elements in our MTech program. So, our MTech program, which was launched in 2007, so far about 16 batches have graduated, like roughly about 400 students have graduated out of this program. What we try to include in the program is both the social science and technical courses together, and the students are emphasized to work in the field. So I'll elaborate on that. That how we try to do that actually. So the objectives, maybe I can skip through this, but then the objectives basically are to train professionals to, as I said, to work on the interface between technology and development. And they should go with proper quantitative and qualitative skills to approach society, and then so how do we equip them to do that? So this is the kind of a structure of the MTech program that we have, where four types of pillars that we think about which makes this program. One is they should have a foundation which is laid through some core courses. They should have some, of course, we have to build in some flexibility which comes through elective courses. They need to have some understanding of ground reality, which is brought through some field work. And then they can do some independent work of their choice because they are master students, which is done through project work that they do in the second year. So, just to elaborate what I mean, so there are three types of coursework that they do as part of the compulsory courses that they do here in Sitara. One is a set of perspective courses. For example, they have a course in development theory, a course which talks about connect between society, technology, and development, and a course on public policy and governance. As well as there are skill-based courses which talk about social science research methods, the qualitative and quantitative methods, project management, project analysis, and so on and so forth. They have knowledge-based courses which introduces them to various fields like energy, water, soil, agriculture, and so on and so forth. Because the students who come to our MTech program, it is open to all branches of engineering and science. So they come from various disciplines. So I typically say our class may have students from A to Z background, right from aerospace, agriculture engineering, biotechnology, civil, chemical engineering to zoology. So anybody can be there in the class. And that is also kind of a challenge to train all these students together. But it is also very interesting that the way they do the peer learning, peer to peer learning, that is also very important. And then they have these practice courses. So this is just a glimpse of the kind of topics that are covered in these various courses. These are the titles of the courses. And then, as you see, there is a long list of elective courses that we offer in Sitara. And then that covers a wide range of topics, right from CSR, the SDGs, which are the buzzwords today, biofuels, rural electrification, MSMEs, food processing, energy policy and planning, bamboo-based infrastructures. There are so many things that we try to cover within these electives. But one of the most unique part of our MTech program is the 9-week long or 2-month long summer field work our students do. So all our students are currently in villages. So they go there in teams of two. They stay in an ordinary rural household, and their stay is facilitated by some local agency, either the voluntary organization or some gram panchayat or some farmers group. So they have to stay in the village for 2 months, and they are given a specific training what study they can do in those 2 months in the village. So they're trained for this during the second semester, and they're trained in terms of undertaking PRA, that is participatory rural appraisal exercise. They do household survey. And then they make something called a village report. So they make a very detailed village report in terms of listing or documenting all the different resources that the village has. They get a lot of primary and secondary data in the village and compile it well. They also look at what are the pain points, what are the areas of improvement for the village, what kind of technology interventions are possible to improve the condition of the people in the village, and so on and so forth. They talk to various groups of stakeholders to understand their aspirations, their thinking about the future of the village as well. And so the students go there in month of May, which is like very uh, adverse condition in terms of the temperatures are very high. It's a harsh summer condition in the villages, where mostly in many parts of the India there is acute shortage of water as well as electricity. And more importantly, for this younger generation, they have to sustain the shortage of internet connectivity as well, which is the most difficult task for them. They can survive without water and electricity, but surviving without telecommunication is very difficult for them. But they try to cope up, and they stay through the monsoon, onset of monsoon, and in July, when the agriculture cycle begins, they come back in mid July. So they have seen the kind of transformation that monsoon brings to Indian villages, and the kind of economic cycle, agriculture cycle, and the activity cycle that happens within this kind of a short period, the transition that happens. So they have a very good first-hand understanding of village dynamics, the resource technology and need linkages in the village setting. That is a kind of a life-changing experience for the students. So they completely get transformed. So in the first year, they have studied all these subjects talking about models of development, the public policy, the kind of implementation, the various schemes and programs that the government has. But actually going to the field and seeing them, the final implementation on ground, whether when we say we are Swachh Bharat, so actually seeing implementation of that program in the village and the kind of outcome of that, it is really eye-opening. So it may be the same thing about PM Ujjwala Yojana or many other programs and schemes that the government is running. So this is very, very important learning for the students, that what are the bottlenecks, what are the barriers in terms of the development process as the development moves from Delhi to Dehgaon. So that is the kind of a pathway that they're trying to understand. As part of this 2-month assignment, partly, as I said, they prepare a village report, and also they prepare something called they work on the exploratory research topic or directed research, which is of the interest to the specific local issue that the host organization may have interest in. So this is something that we often have, and they come back and defend their 2 months work, and they're graded for that kind of a work. In the second year, they mainly pick a topic and undertake a MTech project or thesis. And I'm just showcasing few sample project topics just to give you an idea of diversity of approaches and topics that the students handle in the 6 to 8 months that they have to work on this particular thesis in the second year of the MTech program. Simultaneously, we also have the PhD program. And then again, the PhD program is somewhat different from the mainstream engineering PhD. So again, we emphasize a lot on rural connect and the stakeholder engagement during their work. And these are a variety of topics that the PhD students have handled. It may be policy oriented, it may be technology oriented in terms of preparing a prototype and testing it in various locations. It may be based on data analysis and trying to understand various kind of insights from sensors and other types of data sources that we have. In all this kind of a journey that Sitara has, and then the academic programs that we are running, these are some of the challenging questions that we are facing. And I don't claim that we have answers to all these, but then these are also something that is relevant for not only IIT Bombay, but many other IITs and many other institutes of higher education, that they have to think through and they have to work on this. So, first of all, what is the notion of development? Is it normative? Is it equitable development? Are we talking about democratic and sustainable development? So there are so many shades and notions of development that we have. So this is something that every entity has to think about, and then ultimately even every student goes out with their own notion of development. So even every faculty member of Sitara, I don't say that we have a uniform understanding of what development is, and everyone has their own answer and own picture and own way of looking at this term. The other question is how to get problems of rural areas and small towns to the attention of S&T institutions. So, as I said, the science and technology institutions, especially, or any other higher education institute, should become the knowledge base for that locality. Either it is a town or the rural area or urban area, wherever they are located. But how they can engage with the society to tackle, first of all, to understand and formulate the problem that we are facing, and then try to understand what are the different approaches, what are the different solutions that can be uh, taken up to resolve that issue. Now, how to maintain focus? So, this is another dimension to the work that we are doing, how to maintain focus on scientific approach, even when doing field work and dissemination. So, we have to also keep this kind of a tightrope situation. We have to keep balance in terms of whether we are becoming too emotional while we are getting to uh, kind of addressing people's issues and problems, but then how we can maintain that focus on scientific approach when we are looking at a problem. So this is something that is always a tussle that our students and researchers have to deal with. How to take into account various aspects of culture, aspirations of people, and focus on measurement versus delivery of development. So this is also something very, very important, especially in the Indian context. Something that is very obvious for a researcher in a scientific institute may not be that obvious on ground. For example, I'll just give you an example from my domain, which is energy. So all of us know that the biomass-based cook stove, which is the three-stone stove or the simple chulha that is used in most of the rural household, is a major source of air pollution in rural households, and that is causing a lot of respiratory health issues. It has also other dimensions related to deforestation, and kind of it is very inefficient use of the firewood that we are using. So there are many issues related to use of chulha for cooking, but then it is a very important aspect. Food is a very important aspect of our culture. And then people are kind of fixated on using biomass cook stove or chulha for making their rotis or something like that. So we have to, just giving a technology solution is not enough, but we have to understand what people are aspiring, what are their firm beliefs. And then in that framework, how we can build in or how we can introduce maybe incremental change in terms of what they're doing. So they may not be able to absorb or accept a kind of a radical solution or alternative to what they're doing, but maybe some incremental change in the efficiency of the cook stove, something which is maybe more palatable to the society. So this is something that we have to learn on the field as we go. So we have to also, the other challenge that we are facing is how to structure teaching at undergraduate versus postgraduate as well as PhD level, and what are different types of expectations that we can have from different bodies of students. So this is something that we have been doing. So as part of the journey, Sitara also started engaging with the undergraduates at IIT Bombay. So we have three types of initiatives for the undergraduates. One is a kind of a hands-on project course that we offer to them. We also offer a minor in technology and development, apart from whatever major degree program that they're following at IIT Bombay. Maybe it is electrical or civil engineering. They can do a minor in technology and development as well. And then we offer a kind of a rural immersion program for the undergraduates. So during the vacation, they can go to the village and stay and observe the society and try to experience the rural life. So this is what we are encouraging, and so this is facilitated by some of the donations from our alumni, and that they found that day by day undergraduates of IIT Bombay are getting alienated from the social reality. So we need to ensure that the undergraduates who are the main products of IIT Bombay, so they are enough empathy for society and they have some good understanding of the social issues. So this is a kind of an effort in that direction. So TDSL, as I said, this is a hands-on project that the students can do as an optional or elective course while they are in IIT Bombay. So any faculty in IIT can offer a problem statement, and then any student in any department can enroll for this. And Sitara, especially, I mean, specifically works as a kind of a platform where we bring in both faculty and students together. And it is offered at three levels: the study, analysis, and finally design. And then over the years, many different types of projects have come out of this initiative as well. So this is just to give you an idea about the various types of workshops and seminars and outreach events that are held in Sitara. Just to know that this is not just academic center, but then we try to engage with the society at variety of levels, right from the Gram Panchayat to multilateral agencies like UNICEF and World Food Program and many other agencies, both at national and international level. Uh, Now, more and more, this is a webinar kind of a online forum. And then, especially after COVID, it is proving to be a very important tool to engage with a wider set of audience. So we have a lot of NPTEL courses. Some of my colleagues have been very active in promoting education through online mode, and they have been floating these kind of courses as well. These are some of the typical funding sources, both government and non-governmental. And now, over the period of time, and I'm sure some of the audience here must be part of corporates, and corporate social responsibility is becoming one of the important players in the development process. And then Sitara has been fortunate to get substantial funding through CSRs of various kind of PSUs and many other agencies, as well as through certain foundations and many other government agencies as well. As I said, Sitara also hosts many other national initiatives. One of them is RUTAG, that is Rural Technology Action Group, which was basically conceived by Dr. R. Chidambaram, where he felt that these IITs should not just remain ivory towers, but then they should be able to become knowledge hubs where they can try to address some issues felt by rural population as well. And Sitara has been the center of RUTAG at IIT Bombay. And now, from technology development, the focus has been shifting to dissemination. And we are trying to see how we can leverage some co-funding apart from the government funds that we're getting, and then try to see how we can provide solutions, end-to-end solutions to a variety of problems in various domains. Maybe it is in fishery, maybe it is agro processing, maybe it is in animal husbandry. Variety of topics have been handled by RUTAG over the years. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, but please feel free to interrupt or ask questions if it is becoming too monotonous. I'm not very familiar or used to this kind of a monologue as such.
No, it's fine. Basically, we want to hear something on the social and the rural impact that technology has created, or something, some data or something, your thoughts on those areas also.
Sure. So this is in fact perfect. So this is I'm on one of these slides. So my this is ongoing PhD work of one of my students, Vikrant, who is based in Nagpur. He's a college teacher himself. So one of the issues that he noticed, he did extensive field work and tried to talk to various stakeholders or farmer groups and many other rural groups around Vidarbha, and tried to find out what problem that he would like to work on. And then he understood that many of the agriculture commodities, there is always this issue of fluctuation in the prices. Also, there is also some kind of losses that are incurred in terms of transportation or because of lack of proper market price. So especially in case of floriculture, for example, he noticed that there has been this case that many farmers either they do distress sale or they have to just throw away their produce because there is no proper price they can fetch in the lean season. So the value proposition here is that he's working on this device called solar hydro distillation unit, which basically is a simple solar still which captures solar energy, which is abundantly available in India, most of the parts of the India, and especially in Vidarbha region, except the couple of months in monsoon. And then this device, it is a stationary device. For example, it can you can just keep the mixture of rose petals which may be damaged roses or the excess amount of production that you may have, or it can be even nirmalya or used roses as well. And then you mix it with water and then just leave it in this box. Then during the daytime, what it generates is the rose water or gulab jal, which is there is a huge demand for this product of variety of applications that are there, right from beauty parlors to various kind of uh, uh, pharmaceutical applications are there. And so we find that there is a huge value addition that the farmer can have right at his own farm, where such a unit can be installed, and then they can produce this product. So what is currently going on is, I mean, the same device, in fact, can be used not only for making rose water, but variety of extracts can be made. It may be variety of flowers from which the essence can be obtained, or it can be from various Ayurvedic medicine like the herbal tea and many other gauti cha. That is, so there are ginger and many other commodities can be treated in the same manner, and extracts of variety of things can be made. The other potential application of this is also for goshalas, which are trying to take care of cows at the end of their economic life. So the gomutra is also an important, it has some important significance in variety of rituals that we have. And then the gomutra arka is also used in variety of Ayurvedic formulations, and then variety of other products like floor cleaners, etc., can be made from that. So the same device can be used for making gomutra arka in the places where they are taking care of cows. So what Vikrant is currently involved is, he has been training variety of groups, the especially women's self-help groups in and around Nagpur, where they have been trained to use this device, and now they have started variety of economic activities where they can make use of this device. So this is just initiated. So, but then there is a huge potential this kind of intervention can have in the rural setting. So I'll skip this. So this is basically just trying to say how we are part of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, which has similar kind of objectives to bring in institutes of higher education in the social fold, and how the students and faculty in such institutes can contribute to social cause. And then Sitara's role, as I mentioned, is both as a regional coordinating institute as well as the subject expert group looking at ethos in technical and higher education institutes. So we are trying to see and experiment in terms of how various curriculum changes can be made, where students can be brought closer to society, or they develop better understanding of the societal problems through their curriculum. Some other examples of the outreach and the kind of social engagement that we have at Sitara. So we have been having like consultations with various farmer groups. So either a group of faculty members can go to villages, or even we had this interesting interaction where a group of farmers had come to IIT Bombay, and then we had exchange of ideas, and they try to implement some of these in their field as well. Then we regularly have exposure visits of various groups of students, right from the school students to college students, trying to understand what kind of interventions can happen in rural areas. We have been also the nodal agency to train the same fellows before they are launched in various districts. And they have been always this kind of open software, the FOSSI program, where we are also introduced. So apart from the conventional pathways of career, many of our students are taking up entrepreneurship or startup route as well. And then many of our faculty colleagues are mentoring them. So one of such success stories is Ruka Technologies, where some of our alumni have come together and they are promoting local, low cost or no energy cooling solutions for agricultural stakeholders. Like for farmers, if they want to store their fruits and vegetables for few days or couple of weeks, they don't have access to cold storage, which is a kind of also expensive thing. How they can store these things locally, and what essentially it is leading to is that they are getting better bargaining power to sell their produce. Otherwise, earlier, they used to sell all their produce, especially the vegetables, as a distress sell. But since they have access to this very simple, easy to use technology, which only uses water to provide that evaporating cooling effect, where they can store their vegetables fresh and flowers also fresh for few days at least. So, which gives them holding power, and that's increasing their negotiating power as well. And that's why they are getting better prices for their commodities. And many other now AI and robotics is also important domain, and there have been few initiatives and startups leveraging that technology as well. So mostly in agriculture and post harvest kind of technologies that we are kind of mentoring students in. So as I mentioned earlier, so we have now started a new master's program that is called Master in Development Practice. So this is targeted to those who are already working in the development sector, so that they can benefit from IIT education. This is a 1 year online program where they have to come to IIT Bombay physically for only couple of offline modules, but most of the program is running. The classes are held in the weekends and evenings, and that is how they can upskill or upgrade their understanding of development process and various technology interventions that are possible. They can make use in the development process. So that is how we are delivering this. Again, the eligibility is basically engineering or planning or architecture and master's degree in science. And this is they can finish it in 1 year, or if they want to go slow pace, it can be completed in up to 4 years as well. So when we are looking at this whole paradigm of social and rural engagement, so there are few things that I would like to summarize based on our experience. And as I said, this has been a long journey. One of the important ones is the ethos that we built, and especially today's, now we have so many engineering institutes, so many institutes of higher learning. But then what kind of ethos that we have, and what kind of message that we are trying to convey in our curricula, that is very, very important. So the kind of perspective building is holding a key in terms of how we are training our students and how they start looking at society at large. So this is something that we emphasize a lot and try to make them aware that it is their privilege. They are getting this as a privilege that they are in these kind of institutes, and how they can repay, how they can kind of play their own role in terms of being a part of the solution to a variety of problems that the society is having. So this is something that is an important responsibility of academic institutions, and that is what we believe in. The other thing is about interdisciplinarity. So now we cannot have a very rigid silo approach in terms of how we look at different problems. And then day by day, it is very, very important. And it is already accepted in the Western world, but slowly it is coming to India as well. We have to kind of cherish and appreciate interdisciplinarity in terms of approaching any problem. We give a lot of emphasis on hands-on experience. As I said, field visits and field work is an important part. But even within, while they are in campus, for example, one of my colleagues, he arranges hand spinning workshops. So everyone has heard about Gandhiji, his ideas of Hind Swaraj, and how he promoted the kind of engagement of every individual in productive activities through spinning of charkha. But then that itself is a very important skill, and the training, both at mental level, the way you start thinking, you start concentrating on that activity, and then it kind of develops you in a very different kind of a personality. So he has been experimenting with introducing students and training them on hand spinning as a kind of a technique. But that also kind of brings them closer to the whole paradigm of development process, that how earlier people were engaged in this mass production, where everybody was engaged in production of the cloth, and versus now the new modes of production and the kind of duality that we see from there. The curricular activities, yes, of course, we are the academic center, so we are engaged in programs, courses, and projects, a variety of kinds. But then we also, many times, we offer non-curricular or extracurricular activities as well. there is a lot of emphasis on fieldwork. I should not repeat it again. I have said it enough number of times. And then there is this approach which emphasizes on need assessment. So most of our PhD students, in fact, they spend more than a year to formulate their problem. They have to just repeatedly go to the field and find out what exactly is the problem. Where is the shoe pinching? Unless we know that, we cannot design a solution for that. So this is done with active involvement of the stakeholders. So this is something that we always emphasize on. We all also engage in variety of consulting and research projects. There are variety of workshops, roundtables, the continuing education programs that we have, and variety of and activities like RUTAG, UBA, etc. So ultimately, why are we involved in social and rural engagement? Of course, now we are taken up as a profession and we are in this. But I think this whole concept of Ikigai is very, very important. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. So we have to find a kind of a golden mean where we can find where we can have intersection of our professional goals, our passion, the kind of a mission that we cherish in, and also the kind of a skill set that we have, the kind of a vocation or whatever is earning us. So all of them should come together, and then only we can have kind of a satisfaction in our life, or kind of a job satisfaction we always talk about. But in general, the satisfactory life we can have only when everyone finds where their ikigai lies. So fortunately for me and for many of my colleagues in Sitara, we have found our ikigai in working with society, working with rural areas and engaging with them at variety of levels. So this is what I feel. So with that, I would like to close here and take any questions if possible. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, basically, the group that we had set up. Now, what are the opportunities that you are seeing from your perspective that we can do from the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India? Because mostly here the professionals are there, but they are working in their different domain, and they are expert in that also. Now, since the social and rural engagement that you are talking about, how you can correlate that the finance professional can also can be an asset for the rural development?
Yes, finance is kind of a backbone to the development process, and definitely it is an important resource. But as I said, although being in technology, I don't believe that technology can solve the problem. Similarly, we also should appreciate that finance cannot solve all the problems. Okay, so in fact, finance can create some problems as well. So we have to have that open mind to look at these different tools which can facilitate development process. So what is required is a kind of a dialogue between your organization and ours, where we can find a golden mean and the areas of collaboration. Offhand, I cannot say, because I need to understand your charter and your goals and missions and the modus operandi that you have. And that's what we are looking forward to have a joint meeting where we can try to understand. So now I told our part of the story in terms of how we operate. So similarly, if I hear from your end, then we can try to find out how we can work together. As I understand, most of your professionals might be part of some foundations, some large organizations or industries, or CSR. So definitely we can look at different geographies and different sectors where we can find common grounds to work in.
Professor, there are many areas in the rural areas that need more attention. What can you identify some of the major rural areas where we can focus upon? Because definitely everything cannot be sorted out, or everything cannot be taken at one go. But a few areas from your experience, you can suggest that yes, these are the areas where definitely work should be done, so that more improvement can be made on of the lives of the people living in the rural areas, because mostly our country is a agriculture dominated country, but still the development is not that balanced as we foresee at the time of independence. So what is your opinion on that?
Yeah. So when you say areas, do you mean geographical areas or sectors?
Sectors, the specific
Yeah. So I think there is a need right from the education as a sector. So again, I don't claim that Sitara works in education, but often when we look at whole development process, that is one of the areas where I think still there is need to have enough inputs in terms of improving the right from the primary education, the way it is being delivered. I think the new education policy, NEP, will bring in some reforms in the way education is delivered. But I think that is one area where, so health education. So at the juncture where we are in terms of improving the Human Development Index, and now we are talking about SDGs and zero hunger and many of these goals that we are trying to pursue, I think we are still not covered the ground on providing the basic amenities and facilities to a majority of rural population, whether it is health, whether it is education, whether it is basic services like water and sanitation. I think these are still lacking. So sorry to say this, but then on one hand, we keep on hearing about the glamorous picture that how these problems have been solved in rural areas, and now everyone is getting tap water at their household. But that is not the ground reality on ground. So I think there is a huge scope to work in terms of these basic amenities and facilities. On the other hand, when we see that majority of the population is engaged in agriculture, and that is the kind of a backbone of our economy. But then a large amount of this population is also kind of a not fully efficiently engaged in this productive activity. So we have to find out the pathways to upskill. Another danger that the agriculture sector is facing is that the next generation, there is very little interest in continuing with agriculture because the problems that agriculture is facing. Maybe it is because of the high cost of production. Maybe it is because of the uncertainty of production, and then the market rates they're getting. And we are seeing this kind of a social turmoil in terms of various kinds of agitations, and then so no farmer wants their son to be farmer. So that is not the case with many other professions that we see. And I think we have to analyze this problem from various angles and see how the farmer today can feel proud about the profession and feel that their family should continue with this profession. And for that, I think a lot of financial analysis of agriculture is required. And I think your organization may play a major role in terms of looking at various types of reforms that have been brought in agriculture, and then the kind of impact it had or unintentional impact it has brought in, and how we can make any course correction in terms of improving the quality of life of farmers so that they can feel proud to continue with this profession. So these are few areas that I can mention.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Professor Anand, for this wonderful webinar. So definitely, you have highlighted many of the areas that your organization is working upon, and definitely that is aligning with the new thought process and the curriculum that has been there itself, or the most of the higher educational institutions should focus upon, because definitely today's youth are alienating from the rural areas, or they're not thinking about that. So at the end, some thinking must be required on that. So from at the education level or from the course itself, it can be taken up, so that at least at the back of mind, or it can be that not only technology or something is our goal, or earning is our goal. Something we had to pay to the society also as our social obligations too. So thank you, Professor Anand, for accepting our invitation, and thanks to all the participants who are joined us from different parts of the country. So definitely is not only not a typical financial subject, but still many of the chartered accountants are interested in these areas also. So thank you once again for accepting our invitation, and definitely in future, definitely we'll try to collaborate, or we can work on some joint study or something like that. So thank you, Professor, for taking the.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.